everyone. Thanks for joining us here on Quilt on Tour. My name is Elesha and we have Katy joining us for our everyday quilter, tea time with an everyday quilter. So Katy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a Navy brat. I was born in Charleston, South Carolina, but I was raised in Florida. I have 3 children, and out of the 3 children, my oldest child has 1 daughter that was born a year ago that I haven't got to hold yet because of obvious reasons. My son has a son, and my youngest daughter has 2 daughters. So I have 4 grandchildren. I like to garden. I've gardened nearly 49 years of my life. That started because of an aunt that gave me 1 cutting of some coleus, and I discovered that I had a big time gift. And so I've done that all of my life pretty much. I had horses before I moved to Greenland, so I was racing one of my horses, doing barrel racing and pole bending with them. So I did that for a long time. I'm into German Shepherd dogs and now Dachshunds, so I have 1 of each right now here in Greenland. I like to read. I like to crochet. I learned how to sew when I was about 13 years old. I started making dresses to go to church in and for school. Back then, fabric was cheaper to buy and make your clothes as the versus buying clothes out of a store. Now it's the other way around.
Yeah.
People are not making clothes because Walmart mass produces all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of miss that because when you go in a store, you don't find as easily the kind of fabric that you would make clothing out of.
Yeah.
I'm a Star Wars, Star Trek fanatic. I'm also into Lord of the Rings and yeah. So
I've seen every Star Trek movie in the theater. I think the first one came out when I was 2 or 3, and my dad took me and my sisters to see it, and that's the tradition. Anytime, they live in Virginia now, but anytime a Star Wars movie comes out or Star Trek movie comes out, we have to go see it with my dad.
I agree with you that. And now I'm a big time Marvel person, but I've never read a comic book in my life, but I'm enjoying the heck out of these movies over the last 10 years. So I was, when the first one, Iron Man came out, I was a little like, okay. But then when the second one and then the first Captain America came out, I was like, okay, now I really want to watch this. So so I've seen some in the theater and some of them, unfortunately, because we don't have a theater here, I've been getting them through DVDs or Blu-rays. And the TV system here is very limited because Greenland is still infrastructurally behind, say, the United States. So I buy a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays of all the American TV shows like CSI, and most of it's CBS stuff, and a little bit of I like Smallville and different kinds of things like that. So that's how I keep up with stuff. Now I have Netflix, so that helps a little bit. Let's see, what else can I tell you about myself? I'm on my second marriage. My first marriage lasted 21 years, and unfortunately, my first husband passed away and left me and the children with all of his wreckage. But we have managed to pull ourselves out. And do you want me to tell you about Nikolai?
Sure, if you want to. I'd love to hear.
Okay, so my first husband died in 2006, and me and Nikolai had been friends for 8 years through an online private channel. There's a lot of us in this one specific internet relay chat channel. Imagine that. People probably don't even know what that is. But we were in a private group, and there's about 30 of us, and over the years, I had met most everybody except for Nikolai and a couple people. We have a friend in France, and we have one in the UK that we haven't met. But most of the rest of the group, I either went to New York a couple times, went to California. Some of them came to me in Florida, so over time we met each other.
Mhm.
And in 2009, Nikolai says, I'm coming to Florida for my first vacation to the United States. And I said, really? He says, yes. He says, how about you showing me some of Florida? I said, okay. Now, we have never, ever flirted with each other. I mean,
Mhm.
he was around when my first husband was around, but my first marriage was very, very bad.
Mhm.
Um, so I was not looking to marry again because I had decided that between my childhood and marrying the same type of a person, I was no longer going to allow a man to treat me bad. So, I was going to go it on my own. But when he came to Florida and I drove to Tampa to meet him, when we hugged, something happened. It was unexpected. We sat up all night talking like teenagers. It was hilarious. Asking each other questions, joking about stuff. And, we had a really great weekend. And then I brought him back up to Lake City, but he still stayed in a hotel because, you know, he, even, he's never, people usually, when you're talking to them online, within 2 or 3 years, whether they're lying or telling the truth.
Right.
I had never caught him in any kind of lie whatsoever. He's always been an honest kind of person. So he still stayed in a hotel to start with. And I took him to St. Augustine. We went floating down Ishtuckney Springs. And that's when I discovered he can't swim. And I don't know how you can be a sailor and can't swim. But it was comical the way it happened. We were floating down the river and we were sitting up on top of tubes and he had his feet hanging down in the water. And a lot of times when bad weather comes to Florida, it'll knock down a tree and it'll fall down in the water and it'll be down under the water.
Mhm.
And his foot got caught and he got yanked off the tube. And he says, I can't swim. I said, stand up. He's like, oh, okay. He didn't get excited or nothing, but it was hilarious that happened. And then, I took him down to a place in Gainesville called Devil's Millhopper Sinkhole. And that place, when you go all the way down to the bottom, it's like a whole complete tropical ecosystem all by itself, but your body is just pouring out sweat because it's so muggy down there. And when you go back up, you're going up 279 steps.
Oh, wow.
He never complained about the heat, not once. In fact, the whole time we were together, he's this upbeat, outstanding human being. He looks at life like, it's always positive. There's nothing negative really to say. I mean, even now, he most of the time has positive things to say about anything about the world. But when he left, he took a piece of my heart with him.
Oh.
And so that was in August of 2009. In December, he told me he was going to get a 2-month vacation starting in January. And I said, oh, yeah, what you going to do? I'm going to go see a girl. And I'm like, okay, what girl? He says, you, if you'll have me. I
Oh.
said, you're going to come back? He says, yes, I am. So
Aw.
he took 6 weeks of vacation in Florida and he stayed with me. And I'm telling you, I have never been with this kind of a person. He is just fun and funny and things don't bother him and he's not picky about this or that or he's just a upbeat human being. And right before he left, I think he was supposed to leave a few days after the 14th of February. He asked me to marry him and I said yes. So then the next thing was he flew me to here in 2010. In December. We decided to do it in the winter months because wanted to see how my asthma would react to winter months in Greenland, because in the winter months in North Florida, my asthma constantly would try to kill me, because it's so environmentally sensitive to the environment in North Florida. Because
Right.
my parents moved us to North Florida, my asthma was just really, really bad. And so he flew me over here. This was the first time I'd ever been on an airplane to go over the big pond. When I got to Denmark, there was a little bit of a domino effect. When I was supposed to fly out from Jacksonville, there was a problem with the weather in Newark. And so my plane was it canceled or postponed? I think it was canceled, right?
Postponed, I think.
Moved to the next day. So because of that, I missed all my flights going to Greenland.
Oh, no.
And there's this enormous airport. I don't know if you've ever been to an international airport, but the one in Copenhagen is huge. And I knew I had missed my flights to Greenland. I had called him to tell him what had happened. He was getting with his he used a travel agency to help us.
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't speak Danish, I was having difficulty finding somebody that could speak English. And I was near tears. I had called him and ate up all of my money on a phone call, and I didn't have no more in my card to do that. It was scary. And I finally found somebody at the front desk or info desk, and an older man, because the young guy couldn't understand anything I was asking him. He helped, and he got in touch with Nikolai, and the travel agent and him got together. And before I knew, they had me on a flight. I went through Iceland, and I think I spent the night in Iceland. Yeah, I spent one night in Iceland. So Iceland was a real treat because it looked very European to me. It was so clean and immaculate. It was just the coolest thing ever. And then I flew to Nuuk, which is the capital city of Greenland. And I spent one night there. And because I was coming right around Christmas time, I got to see, they had a big tree up there and people were already hanging things up and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got here, we had a good time. And then, he had asked me to marry him, and we had talked about getting married in Florida. And so the whole time I'm here, my asthma's being good. I mean, I think I only had the small amount of trouble I had was because it was exercise induced, because we were hiking around and
Mm-hmm.
showing town and stuff. And
You get to see a polar bear skin.
yeah, I saw a polar bear skin, so it was really cool. And I don't know if you know this, but did you know seal has hair?
No.
See, I'm not the only one. See? They do. They have hair.
Yeah.
Can you see? I don't know if you can see that.
Oh.
See the fuzzy stuff on it?
Yeah, that's seal hair?
That's seal skin, yeah. So it's fuzzy on the outside, and so that was the first time I'd ever, because I've always thought that they had skin like whales. They don't.
Yeah.
They have hair on them. I got to do Christmas and New Year's, and they really go all out on both of them. The fireworks, and I mean, you know how it's illegal for us to buy big fireworks that the government uses in the USA.
Right.
We get to fire those same fireworks here. So yeah, and he decided that I wasn't going back to Florida until we were married. So meaning that we were getting married before I left. So he set it all up, and we got married January the 2nd, 2011. So now we've been married 10 and a half years. But I have found peace and healing here.
Good.
And I finally know what it feels like to be happy, and not have to worry about being screamed at all the time. And, so yeah, so that's about me so far. Sorry.
He sounds like a wonderful guy. And I'm thinking my son lives in England right now. He's in the Air Force, so he's stationed at Lakenheath. I don't know, but it's outside of London. And I want to go there next summer. I'm thinking I might make a trip to Greenland, either to or from.
You should come. You should come because you will. When I finally moved here, and he took me to, or we went to the ice cap. You see icebergs and you see ice caps on TV, but when you're standing there and you reach out and you touch it,
Mhm.
and the air around the ice cap is so pure that by the time, or for me anyway, by the time I left, you'd have thought I had been drinking. I was intoxicated. My lungs had never had that kind of air inside, and and I'm in love with icebergs still. After 10 years, I'm still in love. I'm in love with icebergs. Yeah, they're just the biggest thing next to having a candy bar,
Yeah,
because
that sounds so
not
cool.
one looks the same as the next, and there's all kinds of colors, and I've learned a lot about why there's color in the icebergs. It's really cool.
Yeah, I will definitely, if I'm headed that way, I will definitely look you up.
Yeah, come to South Greenland and we'll take you out to the ice cap.
Okay, sounds like
Yeah, and I can tell you all about this town now too. So, and we have a hot springs you can go to.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
So you're sitting in the imagine this, picture this. There's big tall mountains around the hot springs. There's a fjord going where you get to it,
Mhm.
and there's icebergs sitting in the fjord, and you're sitting in the hot springs.
Let's see, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very cool. Very cool.
So when did you start quilting?
I started doing it about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
As I mentioned earlier, I learned how to sew when I was 13 or 14. Went to a home ec class. Plus, my mother used to make my clothes, so and she had a Singer sewing machine, so I knew how to sew. And so I bought a Singer sewing machine here because it just happened to have one. And then I'm trying to think who exposed me to the first one. I was watching a video, and I think it was Yvette Renee.
Mhm.
She was doing a unboxing of Sew Simpler,
Okay.
and she was also doing unboxings of Cotton Cuts, classic box. And I'm like, I wonder if I could do this. So I signed up for both subscriptions. So I've been doing both of them about the same time and still doing them. And when I started getting boxes, I'm like, wow, this looks cool. And then I started watching videos, Fat Quarter Shop, trying to think who else, Missouri Star, Jenny. I watched a lot of Jenny
I
stuff.
love Jenny stuff.
Yeah, me too. And I joined a couple of quilting groups. And before I knew it, I was looking at patterns, and I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I started buying fabric from, I mostly bought a lot of fabric from, started out with Missouri Star. And then I found out, Back Quarter Shop also sells just as much stuff. And I started buying it. And so I'm learning.
Mhm.
The background that you see behind me,
Mhm.
I don't know if you recognize this quilt pattern or not.
It looks familiar.
It's
Is it Lori
Sugary
Holt?
Dew.
Sherry.
No, it's Sugary Dew.
Oh, I love
And
Sugary Dew.
yeah, so last year's in January, she started this, and I decided I wanted to do it. The whole thing is batik, even the white is batik.
Oh wow.
Now I was started out with my Singer sewing machine doing this, and when we got to this row right here, can you see this one?
Uh-huh. The
This is
triangle.
called the Delta roll, or
Okay.
Delta row. Can you see how the triangles flip on each other?
Yeah.
When I got to that row, triangles in my brain, very bad. I'm a visual learner, and when I was trying to put them face to face, I couldn't understand how to pin it, because when you put them face to face, when they're rotated opposite of each other, they don't lay in a straight line like, say, a square does.
Right.
So, and I was getting really upset about it because I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And so I wrote in the group that I was thinking about stopping because I don't have the skills. And 2 women in there says, how can we help? And I explained to them what the problem was. And one of them she had written out directions and she drew pictures. And the pictures, the way she drew it, because when the lady who did the quilt along, her English is good, but different.
Right.
So when she would word something or and the way she did it was confusing to me. I couldn't understand it. So this person, the lady, she wrote it out in simple terms and drew pictures. And she says, we can get on video if you still don't understand. And when she told me what to do on the back side of each one and how to pin it corner to corner and then pin down it and then sew it. And when I opened it, there it was. So I learned how to do that. I learned how to do reverse applique, which is what these circles are.
Okay.
And then this is paper piecing down here. And there's a couple of the arrows are paper piecing.
Okay.
The half circles are reverse. And then the rest of it's just you cutting and like the one on the very end, I don't know if you can see it. Hold on, I'm gonna move my laptop for a minute. You see this one right here?
The X. Oh, the arrows.
Well, they're like arrows, but they don't have the bottom on them. The way her instructions were to do it, I discovered that I couldn't do it that way. So I did it a different way and it worked out. But yeah. But basically it's by talking to people online and because I live here in Greenland, I don't have a job except in the summer. And the last 2 summers I haven't been able to work because of the pandemic, because it's a tourism job. And, Greenland has kept the door shut mostly. So no work. And I needed something to keep me busy. I was already gardening inside the house. I picked up crocheting. I'll share that with you in a few minutes. And I just needed something else to keep my brain busy. I'm not bored. That's not what I'm saying. When you get to be my age, you need to have things to keep your brain.
Yeah. Working. Something to keep you thinking and
and challenge you. And I've always been one to want to have a challenge. Even if I fail the challenge, I still want to do the challenge. It's just, I guess it's part of my nature, I suppose, because when you grow up thinking you're not good enough to do anything, and then you realize you can do something, you try to, because I'm one of these people that believes in you never stop learning until you're in the grave.
Yep.
And people have the ability to keep learning even before they pass away. And, if I could keep my brain like that, maybe, I won't be one of the unlucky people stuck in a old folks home because of Alzheimer's.
Yeah. So what is your favorite quilt that you've done so far? Do you have a favorite?
Favorite. I believe that my most favorites, Asa, can you come help? I'm going to show you.
What?
Can you pull this back so I can show her?
What? Oh.
Just pull it all of it. Right now, I have 4 of these going on. These are the Puzzle Mystery by Cotton Cuts.
Oh, yeah.
So these 2 are Cosmos. Okay. I'm also in the process of doing Are You Game? And I'm signed up for the one that starts next month that's called Olympia.
Okay.
So I would say that they have been my most fun parts because everything comes once a month, or you can buy the whole thing if you want to, but you can get each block a month and you don't know what is, because it's a mystery,
Mhm.
and you do the task, the pattern is already cut for you. You just follow the instructions and it's done. And you can do it like in one day, unless it's really a bunch of triangles or something. But I believe that right now that's been my highest ranking thing right now, because I'm learning a lot from doing that. And I
Mhm.
bought my husband bought me a Janome 6700P,
Okay.
not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before. And my skills has big time improved because of this machine and
Yeah.
because of the PMQ. I'm sewing better. I'm getting the understanding of half square triangles. And when I've looked at a few of my previous or earlier blocks, and you can see like little wrinkles. Would you call it wrinkle?
Like little.
It's like the fabric didn't lay down flat, and
Yeah,
so
I know
there's
what you
a
mean.
little
Little.
wave in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of my blocks look like that, and I don't know why they look like that. I have no idea, but I'm seeing less and less of that going on now. The other day, I made my first ever tiny block. Okay, now I'm going to show you one of them. I don't know if you can see. This was the first one, but can you see the little?
So cute.
Yeah, can you see the little? Can you see right here where the little wrinkles are?
A little bit.
So then I made another one, and look, no wrinkles.
Oh yeah.
But it's only 3 inches. It's so tiny.
So
And
cute.
and this part right here is only like 3/4 of an inch. It's so tiny. I have never done this before. So I'm like, this is outstanding.
That's I don't know if I have I haven't tried teeny tiny ones yet. I don't know if I have patience for it.
Yeah, because it's like, I have big hands for a woman. So you're trying to make sure you pin it so it doesn't wrinkle or
Mhm.
and I put my seams all open,
Okay.
and it seems like there's not as bad of a bulk on the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's probably
that,
better with the small one.
yeah, and I think to do it that way is helping me hone my skills so I'm better. I truly think that I'm still a beginner because I still have difficulty reading certain kinds of patterns. And I've discovered that if you don't, everybody, you know how most people tell you read through your pattern first before you just start.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with that now, because I've just gone through there and not read it, and then I discover, wait a minute, why is my half square triangle small? Because they'll say you're making a half square triangle, but you're only making one. And I just looked at the picture, just which shows the half square, and then I discovered
Right.
that, and I made 2 out of that block, and so the half square was too small.
Oh, yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I've learned that, because it's just very cool.
That's cool. Do you have any tips for a beginner quilter?
Yes, I would say there's a few. Join a quilting group.
Mhm.
That's the first thing I think you should do. Make friends with people, because you might need help. And don't be afraid to say, I can't understand this, and tell the group that I need help. Can you help me? Watch YouTube videos, as many as you can possibly digest, because there's different styles with different people, and you might discover this person's style fits more to the way you do things as versus another one. Also, big thing, don't think you have to make your stuff perfect. It's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's okay to have little waves in your block.
Yeah.
There is no reason you have to make it perfect just because you don't want it to be not perfect.
Yep.
Let's see what else. measure twice, cut once.
Maybe measure 3 or 4 times. I
Yeah.
made that mistake.
Yep, me too. Learn to read your rulers also. Do you know I don't know what eighth, when I started this, I didn't know what an eighth is. I had no idea what that was.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
I mean, most people don't go that small in normal life.
yeah. Whoever uses an eighth on fabric? I mean, I didn't even know what an eighth was on my ruler, and that's bad. I could tell you the rest of the measurements, but not an eighth. Or or you see some. I think I seen something on a pattern where somebody said 1/16. I'm like, what's the 1/16?
Yeah.
So
teeny
if
tiny.
when you don't know those, you can go on. There is actually online where you can download a picture of the eighth measurement and of the 16th.
Mhm.
And I, like I said, I'm a visual learner, so by seeing it, it helps a lot. Let's see what else. Basically, just definitely be in groups. I think groups are
Yeah.
everything. To me, they are. I mean, I'm not just on quilting groups. I mean, I have a couple gardening groups I'm on, to share my love of it, and crochet groups too. So,
Yeah.
because I'm in a country where maybe 20% of the population speaks English. And honestly, there is really nothing here in South Greenland. Now, if I lived in the capital city, I probably have a lot to do. But living where I live at, there's only 3,800 people that live here.
Oh, wow.
And there's no such thing as a quilt guild or a quilt shop or anything like that. So everything that I have got, I've had to import in here from the United States
Right.
in order for me to do my hobby. When I first moved here permanently, I came with nothing except my suitcases. I mean, we have a storage unit we're still paying on. We're going to try to get it sent to us next year, though. But I started with nothing. So when I moved in here, there was not a plant to be found in this whole house. So when you're ready, I want to show you my Zen room and my mandala.
Sure.
So when I first moved here in 2014, I one of the crochet groups I joined, they were doing a quilt along called Sophie's Universe.
Okay.
And that was the first time I've ever done a crochet along, which is the same as a quilt along. So, and it was a year-long endeavor with the Sophie's Universe and with the mandala. And at one point, like in the middle, it just happened to fall during the summer when I was outside trying to plant cool season vegetables. And so I put it down for like, I don't know, 2 months. And then I picked it back up and caught up with everybody else. So
Mhm.
I'm going to show you my Sophie's Universe.
Okay.
And I'll show you, and I also did Mandala Madness cow back in 2019. Yeah, 2019. And that was another year-long endeavor. And then I'll show you my Zen room.
Okay, sure.
We're going to move the laptop.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you come in the living room with me, please? I want you to hold up my Sophie's Universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah. You can hold that and I'll do it. So this is my first cow. Back up so you can see the whole thing. This is Sophie's Universe.
Oh, wow. And you crocheted that whole thing?
Yeah. It's about the size. It probably fits it fits a twin bed, but it's a perfect square, so you'll still have missing. But you can see, like, this is the best part of this that I love the most. See the flower?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that cool?
That is.
So that was, this taught me a lot of new skills. See, the same person that gave me the cutting of Colliers, she was my paternal aunt, my only aunt.
Okay.
And she also showed me how to crochet, just simple stuff. So I'm basically self-taught. And when I joined the Cal and learned all these new stuff was definitely new, just like quilting. And this is, can you back, hang on. No, that way. Can you see it on the wall?
Yeah. And that's all
That's my
crocheted as well?
mandala. Yeah, this one's made out of number 3 cotton thread.
Wow.
It's about 120 centimeters across. I mounted it on a hula hoop. I brought 2 back from California and hooked them together. And then I took thread and sewed it on there. And then I'll let you see some closer pieces of it.
Wow, that is beautiful.
So I call this Arctic Lights, and the quilt that I did with Sugary Dew is also named that. And the reason that I call both of them Arctic Lights is because people assume that Greenland's just ice and nothing. That's not true.
Mm-mm.
There is so much color in this country. We have the most brilliant sunsets in the spring, summer, and fall. And I'm gonna, while I'm talking to you, I'm gonna show you my Zen room. Maybe I need to back up a little bit. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's a gorgeous plant.
There's lots of them.
Yeah.
But this is 10 years of gardening here.
They seem very happy there.
Oh yeah, this is the happy room. But you know, it's different here than Florida, because Florida has humidity,
Right.
lots of sunshine, thunderstorms, the whole 9 yards. North Florida gets cold, yes, but you know, here the sun is different. It's missing one of the, is it the B ray? I think it's called a B ray or something. Anyway, it's missing something that the rest of the world gets. And it also, in the summer months, we get 22 hours of daylight, sunlight. So basically, when spring comes, you know, in most of the United States, when you experience different seasons, it's a slow progression
Mm-hmm.
in and out. As soon as the snow melts, and we have dandelions here, you'll see a dandelion plant come up, and then you come back by it the next day, and there'll be a flower on it. Full flower.
They just grow so much faster.
Yeah, they grow exponentially fast because they have most things here have 60 to 90 days, depending on the weather. Right now we're having warmer weather for South Greenland a lot. November, December, and January, we had 2 weeks in each month where we stayed above 0, which is abnormal. November, December, and part of January, no snow.
Oh, wow.
No snow, no building of ice cap. And the ice cap has us, as of 2018, I think, is losing ice at a 60% rate. So there is concerns about the ice cap.
Yeah.
The ice cap covers about 80% of Greenland. And all of us who live on the island live on the outskirts of it. So we can go in a boat 2 hours up the fjord and see one, or we can go up the other way and see part of the ice cap. So it covers quite a bit of a part of Greenland. And, you know, Greenland has the largest, Greenland's the largest island in the world, and it has the largest nature preserve as well, because it's part of the ice cap.
Oh, okay.
So anything else you want to ask me about?
Oh, do you have anything you want to ask me?
Yeah. How long have you been quilting?
I took my first quilting class January of 2020, and it finished right before everything locked down.
How did you grow so fast within a year?
I think everybody was bored. So I started watching YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube's become my best friend, and sometimes not my best friend, because
I'll get sucked into YouTube all the time. But yeah, but I've always been crafty. Like my grandmother, my mom's mom and her sister, and my mom to an extent, but they have always been doing some kind of sewing craft. They just always been crafty. They sewed clothes, they did craft shows, crocheted. Like I knew how to crochet when I was 12. Like I've just always been crafty. So then, and I'd always wanted to try quilting, but I never had the opportunity. And then a quilt shop I got a new job, and on my way to that new job was a quilt store that I passed every day. And I was like, oh, I could just swing by on my way home from work and take the class, and it wouldn't really be out of the way. And I was hooked ever since then. So
Yeah, it's you know what I want to do? I've been collecting batiks for a while now, about a year. And it kind of when I get on that really gets crazy. I don't know if you've been to one of their online sales or not, but
I watched it, but they just go so fast.
yeah, you have to be quick with your keyboard. But
yeah,
there's three places I noticed that seems to get really vibrant batiks. Missouri Star is one of them.
Mhm.
Soya's the other one, and a place called Padonka. No, what's the name of it? It's where quilting started, I think. Padonka. I'm not saying it right, so I don't know. But anyways, they have some pretty brilliant ones. And with the mandala was, people asked me if I followed the color code, because there's 32 colors in that mandala.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I said, no. Well, how did you decide how to do those colors? It just how I felt that day. It was how I felt that day. And the more I got into it, the more I'm like, I want to put more color in it. I want more color. I want more color. So I started hunting for number 3, more number 3, more number 3. So I ended up with 32 different colors, and some of them are just like shades or hues of one color or whatever. But I want to make a quilt top with a zillion colors of batiks in it.
Yeah, I really like batiks. I used to live in Indonesia, so I got to see firsthand how they're made.
Wow, lucky you.
It's just beautiful. I really like batiks too.
Do you quilt your own quilts, or do you take them to a long arm?
I've never sent my quilts to a long arm. I usually do it. I've only made, like start to finish, I've made 4. And 2 of them I've hand quilted. They were both Scrabble quilts. One was for my mom, and then one was for my husband's grandmother. So I just quilted, like stitch in the ditch, big stitch, hand quilting. And then the other 2, I have an embroidery feature on my Bernina machine. So I was able to get one of those big snap magnetic hoops that does a big area, and then I've quilted them that way.
Oh, so I was about to ask you, are you going to make a video doing that from your domestic? Because
I want to. That's one of my plans. I just finished a bird quilt for my sister. Do you want to see it?
Yes.
I just finished it yesterday, actually. The quilt top part. I have to sandwich it and then quilt it. So this was her quilt that I finished. Birds.
Oh, that's pretty. I bet she's gonna love that.
I never want to make another bird.
Are you tired because of all the points?
Yeah. But when I quilt this, I want to just free motion like around the bird so that on the back you can see the shape of the bird as well.
Oh, that's cool.
So I saw this PVC contraption on Pinterest for people to hold the weight of the quilt while you're free motioning quilting.
Yeah, that was on I don't know if you watched there was a live quilt show. I don't remember what it was called, but they had what you're talking about, because they kept switching back and forth between different vendors. There was an interview with Jenny.
Yeah, so I think the one that you're thinking of is an actual not a handmade. I went down to Lowe's and picked up the PVC. This one,
you made your own?
Yeah. So this one is like $200 and it kind of does the same thing, but I want to do a video with my contraption so people who can't afford the $250 thing can try it this way.
Yeah,
So that's what I want to try with
great.
this quilt.
Yeah,
So,
because my husband's been slowly helping me set up my sewing room. He built me a big table to cut on and stuff.
mhm.
And when you're talking about a homemade contraption for quilting with, I would love to see it, because it will give me an idea on how I'm going to quilt this.
Quilt that, yeah. Yeah, because a lot of times you can do it on your domestic machine. And usually it's the weight of the quilt that prevents you from moving it, in a smooth.
Yeah, moving
Make
it
it
around
easy.
without being jammed up.
Yeah, yeah. And then obviously my dream is to buy a long arm quilting machine.
Yeah, you and me and everybody else. I priced one when I went in. I have to tell you about my Janome. I was going to buy a Bernina. Everybody was saying Bernina, Bernina, Bernina. So
Bernina.
when I went to Denmark. That's when I went to get the puppy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to pick up my Dachshund puppy in Copenhagen, so I flew over there by myself because he was at sea.
Mhm.
And I got on
I have to
the.
be home for Dum Dum. I have to be home for.
Oh, you had to come. That's right. He had to come home and stay with Dum Dum, and Dum Dum is our German Shepherd.
Okay.
That's not his name, but we all call him Dum Dum because he
Dum
acts Dum Dum sometimes. But, when I went there, I had never been to a quilt store, and I was on a mission to find fabric store and talk to somebody about machines, because my Singer machine wasn't cutting it.
Yeah.
I was getting frustrated with it because it wasn't meant to make little piecings on it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't meant for that. The amount of moving through there with all this stuff, it just wasn't meant for that.
Yeah.
It's meant for like making clothes or whatever. So I found a shop and I got on the metro and found my way there without getting lost. And when I walked in there, I told her I wanted a machine that I could build quilts with, and also have the ability to learn to quilt my tops.
Mhm.
And I said, do you have a Bernina? And she looked at me and she says, is there a specific reason why you want a Bernina? Well, everybody claims it's a really good machine. And she showed me the Janome. She said the difference between my Janome, the one I got, and the Bernina that we were looking at is the Bernina that she showed me had plastic parts inside of it.
Oh, okay. And the Janome is metal.
And the Janome is all metal. I mean, the only plastic part is like the covers that, where the digital is.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've seen a 6700p, but let's see here. It's hard for me to move this. Yes, can you see it?
Yeah.
So it's a really big machine, and you're gonna laugh when you hear this. So I said, okay. So then I told Nikolai, I think I found the machine, and so he bought me the machine for Christmas.
Oh.
And then when it got here, do you know how long it sat on the table before I would even touch it? I took it out of the box. I was afraid of it. I was scared of it.
Well, it's a big jump from a Singer sewing machine to this big. It's a huge jump.
I still haven't learned what some of this stuff does yet. And it had the tension knob on. It wasn't like the one on the Singer, and I was like, oh my gosh. And finally, after about, I think it sat on the table, 9 months?
Yeah.
9 months it sat on the dining table. 9 months. And finally, one day I told Nikolai, I said, let's put this in here. This is ridiculous. I should not be afraid of it. So he brought it in here. It took me an hour to figure out how to get the thread around the tension knob. It really did. I mean, I could see where it needed to go behind it, but and finally I figured it out. And once I figured it out, I was like, oh, this is not so bad. And so now I'm like, I haven't touched my Singer since. I've been on this big
Yeah.
I haven't gave it a name because I think it's crazy to give it a name, but but this is one bad mama.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying it, and I know that one day I'll figure out all the little things and I'll really take off. So how many on your first quilting that you did, how
Mhm.
hard was it for you?
It wasn't too, because the first quilt I did was with the, you mean putting the quilt together or quilting it on my machine?
Quilting on your machine for the first time.
It wasn't that difficult. Like I said, I used the embroidery module with my machine. And I don't know, there's a website called Designs by Juju, and they have the, I guess the end-to-end template or end-to-end quilting designs. And they're actually pretty reasonable too. They always go on sale. But if you go to Power Tools with Thread, I don't know if you've heard of her.
What's it called?
Her YouTube channel is called Power Tools with Thread.
Power Tools with Thread.
Yeah, I love her. I watch her all the time. But she does a lot of tutorials on embroidery and doing the end-to-end quilting. And that's what I used to quilt I did 2 quilts that way. I haven't actually free motioned one yet. That's what I'm going to do with this one.
Was your first quilt free motion, or did you like do ditch and what is it called?
I did the stitch in the ditch.
In the ditch.
Yeah, that's what I did. I don't have a picture of it, but it was so since my son's in the Air Force, it was like a red, white, and blue quilt that I sent with him when he was stationed over in England. And it was just squares, so it was really easy to do the stitch in the ditch for that one. So
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to tell you about. Everybody needs to come to Greenland at least one time in your life.
Yeah, I think so
Put that
too.
on your bucket list.
Yep. All right, so I think we need to wrap up a little bit here. It's been so fun talking to you and getting to know more about your life in Greenland and seeing your plants. It's been a lot of fun. So for everybody who's watching, don't forget to subscribe to Quilts on Tour. And if you want your own little mug, go to quiltsontour.com, click on the store and you'll see it there. And they all come personalized with our names. Oh, I have some iced tea in mine today because it's just too hot here for hot tea.
Yeah, I'm drinking raspberry
tea. Yep. So
I'm sorry, fruit punch is what I'm drinking.
Fruit punch.
Yeah.
So thanks again, Katy, for joining us here on Quilts on Tour, Tea Time with an Everyday Quilter. And don't forget, today is a great day to quilt.
Yes, thank you for having me.